Suns fans, you know what time it is in the PHX.
Empire of the Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Empire of the Suns.
The Empire of the Suns podcast is brought to you by Sonic. Drive to your nearest Sonic location and don't forget to order your half-price drink or slush anytime in the Sonic app.
Hello there, and welcome to the Empire of the Suns podcast. My name is Kellen Olson, joined as always by Kevin Zimmerman. What's up, man?
Where are we right now? I don't know where we are.
Bad question for me right now. I just got done with a 4-hour radio show. My brain is spinning all over the place. I don't know what planet I'm on right now, but how you doing?
Good. For listeners to know, and also I should have this conversation with you off air. Child number 2 on the way soon, so at any moment you just might replace me with some guest. So you should probably think about that.
I'll find some numbskulls who want to talk Suns ball. That is no concern of mine. My concern is you getting the time away that you need and deserve, friend.
Thank you. We're here because this is like I don't know if this is going to last, but 2 days ago we're like, I guess we should podcast. The Suns made a trade, and we were like, do we just wait until there's another trade? But here we are in kind of a gray area, so we're going to do a quick podcast on the gray area.
The gray area is the Suns traded their 2031 unprotected first-round pick, not for a player, but for picks. They got 3 of them, a 2025, 2027, and 2029 first-round pick from Utah. That is the least favorable between Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. What that means is the Suns are most likely, or a 98% chance they're picking 29th or 30th in 2025, if they hold on to that pick. 2027, you would assume Cleveland's still pretty good by then. All it takes is one of Cleveland, Minnesota, or Utah to be a certified playoff team, and you're picking in the 20s. 2029, who knows? Like, are the Jazz going to be the best team then? Is Cleveland, Minnesota? I don't know. This does a couple of different things. Of course, it opens up flexibility. The Suns now have 3 picks to move instead of 1. They can also move other picks now because the Stepien rule was locking them from moving their 26 and 28 picks that have a million swaps on them. So I don't know how easy they would be to move or if they would be preferred to get moved, but it does open up that flexibility as well. So they could choose to deal those even numbered picks with years instead of the odd numbered picks. And then they get more picks. Like we said, I wrote a story that received some responses. I'll put it as.
How many views did it? Was a lot of views on Twitter.
I don't know. You become like the Luka guy like I was, and you become like the guy who wants them to blow it up and wants them to be terrible. Or
you become the guy that
has his financial well-being partially tied to how good this basketball team is, wants them to be terrible. The guy that gets more opportunities the better a team is. He wants to see them fail and lose. You could argue, in fact. I'm just doing this because I know the Hate Listeners watchers are up this week compared to previous weeks. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, I understand you're a big fan of the team, big fan of a player or whatever, but my life is like actually attached to the team in some ways and my well-being. So just something to consider. I should be the biggest fan out of anyone is kind of what I'm trying to say, almost, in a way.
Or you just like to give objective truth analysis.
Just giving my basketball opinions. That's all I'm doing, man. Just giving my basketball opinions, and we know how that goes sometimes. It is the way that it is. I'm not sitting here trying to claim that I'm right, other people are wrong. I'm just giving my opinion on the matter, and I'm going to give some more on this podcast, and there is your slice of that for the episode. This is a move that I think the way that I'll put it, and like kind of what I wrote is, and I think why it was so like hard and declarative and truthful, which, by the way, I wrote like 4 other things before this that were like just in this tone as well, but this one got super targeted for some reason. I can't really figure out why.
I thought some of your other ones were more,
aggressive. But this has been a tone on our podcast for weeks. This has been a tone through my writing for weeks, and that we are against the thought of the Suns still going forward at this point. We believe it is time to blow it up. We've talked about what that means, what you would try and do, the methods of doing so, why it is better to do that in our opinion as opposed to doing this. We are now, that for me, that like writing that piece was sort of like the last hurrah for me with that, and like that makes it sound like I was looking forward to it. It's just more so, okay, this is what they're doing, and we're done talking about that. So for the people that are fans of the podcast but aren't fans of like the tone that we've had lately, that is going to change somewhat. We're still going to be critical of the things we're going to be critical about. But for example, when Jimmy Butler gets traded to the Suns, I still think it's a when not if situation right now. We'll see. We are going to talk a lot on that episode about just his basketball fit, his contract situation, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to sit here and slam our fist and be like, we're so upset. They should have never done this. Like, we're going to just to like lay it out and like everyone be like familiar with like the tone and like the content that's going on, because don't know if I expected that much like backlash having that tone or whatever. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't really think about it too much, to be honest, but I understand that there are people curious if that will sort of continue and if we're going to be super doom and gloom. I got called Chicken Little at one point during the down years. Insufferably exasperated, of course, was my favorite. We're not really going to we're going to try to avoid that for the most part, because like the honest thing is like the next 6 weeks is about like, are you guys going to be in the play-in tournament or not? Like, we're going to know that by mid-March, and we're 2 months away from that.
I'll take this opportunity also. Like, there was a point in time, if you listen to this podcast this long ago, where it was like, they should draft Luka. And at some point, the reality after DeAndre Ayton came worked out.
They're not drafting Luka.
We live in reality.
Yeah.
They're not drafting that guy. So at some point, we have to move on. So, and I was going to use this time for me and say, like, I think Jimmy Butler, you might as well take a shot. If you're not going to blow it up like we think you should do, I'm not saying Jimmy Butler is a bad idea. For the record, that's there. I'm like, I don't know if it'll go great. I don't know if it'll make them a contender, a top 6 team, a top 8 team. I have apprehension about that, but I think like, yeah, it's going to change something and possibly for the better. And honestly, like from a purely objective, like as a fan, it's super fascinating. Like,
yeah,
the reason we're talking about like they should blow it up or half blow it up, however you want to phrase that scale, is because we've seen every other team reach a point like this, and it's like, okay, the other team's gonna do it, and this team has not done that, and that's why it's fascinating, because it's a test case of like, okay, you don't care about the money aspect. You're going to quintuple down on doing this. Yeah, Bradley Beal may not have worked out, and you're going to try to move him, it looks like. So how far can you keep kicking the can, and can you kick the can down the road to somewhere where you're successful? That's what's fascinating. So, like, if we have rooting interest, it should be to get Jimmy Butler, because it's going to be completely new things to talk about and a new basketball team to talk about. So, yeah, that's where we're at. And then I guess to the right now, do you have anything else? The right now is super interesting because they can really go different directions with this latest
I think we
trade.
didn't hit too much on the trade for people who like strictly listen to the podcast and don't follow as much of like the written work, or like me on other shows or you on other shows, like you were on Arizona Sports at Night and
Tuesday.
Wolf and Luke too.
Yeah.
You're making the rounds a little bit.
By the way,
you?
on Wolf and Luke, I was like, I just want Jimmy Butler and Kellen Olsen to interact frequently. That's
That'll be fun. I will pay for some coffee, even if it's overpriced. Yeah. Like I'll try it. I'll see if I can expense it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Like I'm going to ask you about expensing it, of course, but
is there a big face coming to Phoenix? That's the first question you ask. Okay, great.
That's what he's figuring out right now, because he's not figuring out basketball because he's suspended right now. So the trade, just overall thoughts on it is, this is another version of Brooklyn, Houston. This is another version of teams around the league looking at the Suns, and the vultures are circling, like waiting for their demise, essentially. Mm-hmm. And this is another extension of something else that I wrote about and we talked about when the Timberwolves trade went down, which was, okay, this is yet another team ducking the second apron. Like almost everyone is ducking this thing, except you guys, which means you're either going to be right while everyone else is wrong, or everyone else is right and you're just the one group that is wrong. And that level of, I'll start here by saying it's incredibly commendable what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want that to go by. Like, and I think that their front office is incredibly smart people who have come up with inventive and innovative ways to push this even further. I just think there's a lot of damage to pushing it that far. And to me, the impression that I get with these types of picks is like, and don't worry, like we've got this figured out thing. Like, we're not going to be bad in 2031. Like, don't worry about it. It's like, that's not well, Here's the problem is you're in the second April. That means you can't sign anyone in free agency outside of the guys on the minimum, and that you have draft picks, but they're only in the 20s, and like an all-star is drafted in the 20s. Like, and you can keep drafting like Ryan Dunn, Tumani Kamara, also Gadara rotation level players, but eventually you need stars because Jimmy Butler's old, Kevin Durant's old. Is Devin Booker still here? I don't know who he is. Like, and it just adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. So
It's already added up.
there is a level of bravado and boldness to this that I've always respected, but also feels like it could be their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how much further it goes, because it just kind of does keep going further. The line that I used in the storyline I've been saying on the radio is that I believe this trade is basically you're taking $0.50 and you're getting 2 nickels and a penny back.
Yeah.
Now those could change. The penny is a penny. It's 29th or 30th pick. It's not going anywhere. I think the 2027 pick is going to be a nickel no matter what, which is going to be somewhere in the 20s. Maybe it turns into a dime and it has a chance of being a lottery pick. I don't know. 2029, who knows? We'll see. It's not going to be a top 10 pick because that would require Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah to be out of the playoffs, which I don't think is happening. And that's like the crazy part of this is like you could see Suns fans could be watching like the 2029 draft lottery and see like Cleveland win the lottery and they're like, oh my God, we get the pick. Like, no, the Jazz get it because they have first dibs. And like you actually have last dibs, which is again where the swaps come in 26 and 28 and so on. And then the $0.50 thing, I completely and totally understand the people that are like, Lakers pick, Heat pick, you guys keep doing this where this unprotected pick is so valuable, and then it just turns out to be, well, the bottom line is it has tremendous odds of landing in the lottery right now, and the Suns are not in possession of any pick that has even close to that many odds in the lottery. Here are the numbers that I was using last night on the show and today on the show. Just say you know this if you're an NBA fan, but just to like emphasize it out loud, I looked at the NBA drafts from 2000 to 2019, so a 20-year sample size. Okay. And I looked at all the players who made an all-star team, okay? Drafted in the top 10, 64 guys have been all-stars. Drafted 11 through 20, 19. Drafted 21 through 30, 11. So I can combine 11 through 30, and it's 30 total guys who have been all-stars. Over half than in the top 10.
Yeah.
The 2024 All-Star Game, 26 guys were named All-Stars. 15 of those were drafted in the top 10. 8 of them were drafted 11 through 20. 1 of them was drafted 21 through 30. And then 2 were drafted in the second round. That's stuff that like NBA fans know by now. But just to really emphasize the numbers further, like you need top 10 picks in order to get in this. And the important thing is you can draft Josh Jackson, Dragan Bender, Marquise Chris. But you just need to hit on the Devin Booker thing once. And then sometimes you're the Thunder where you hit on Shea and Jalen Williams outside the top 10 twice. And then you draft Chet Holmgren in the top 5 as well. But like what can't happen is what happened with Brooklyn, which is where we just saw the Boston Celtics win a championship with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as their best players. Those were the
Picks.
Those were those picks. That can't happen. And that has a chance of happening here. And we've seen it burn a team in the past. So that is the apprehension there with further quintupling down or whatever on we are still going to have draft picks. They're not going to be our picks, but we're fine with that because we believe we're going to be in a position where those draft picks don't burn us. I just disagree.
I think they're viewing it as a sunk cost. Like we're already in this big hole and we have to pay to get out, and they're basically taxing themselves on that trade. And again, I think it's a good trade for this team. It just in the mere fact of you have to be able to have options to get out of it. So like in the immediate future, like I appreciate thinking about sustainability. I'm not saying you're wrong. Like they could be terrible in a few years and get better by 2031. I don't know. But if we're talking about the now, like they had to kind of find a way to get assets. And the crazy part is this is Jimmy Butler, maybe like the obvious functionality of getting 3 draft picks right now, even if they're not that good, is you have to pay people to take Bradley Beal, to take Nurk if he's, moved in a separate trade. And just for Jimmy Butler, it's like you got to send multiple picks to different teams just to get a deal done probably. And that's the functionality of it. Now, if they don't even have a Jimmy Butler deal, Beal doesn't want to get traded, you got to burn one to trade Nurk. I don't know what Nurk's going to get as a return, what kind of player or anything. If that's a just completely separate deal, like, does that move the needle much? Like the Nick Richards thing? I don't know. I'm honestly of you have to somehow figure out how to keep, Here's what's weird. I don't think they're going to do this, but like I actually appreciate what they did in the past draft and with this draft trade. And you just keep breaking the bigger things into smaller things. And then if you are in a draft and you're saying, I have one late first left and I have a bunch of seconds, I'm going to keep breaking them up. And at some point it's like, oh, I would like to cash like 2-3 seconds and a first for like the 23rd pick. And then maybe you get some guy who fell out of the lottery. Like, that's the reality of what you could do. Again, don't think they're thinking about doing that in this moment right now, because obviously they probably want Jimmy Butler, but they're at least in a position to do more. So I see where this trade got them, Jimmy Butler or not. I just don't, man, Jimmy Butler or not, I don't know what you do right now.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, to be clear. If I have to like say that somewhere, I hope I'm wrong. Here's the good news, Suns fans. I've been wrong lately. I was wrong about the KD trade. I was wrong about the Beal trade. Yeah. So, been wrong a couple of times lately. That's good. I think that's it on like general philosophy and stuff. I would say the question now is what is causing the wait? Because the Suns clearly want to trade for Jimmy Butler. In my opinion, again, to a theme we had like 2 weeks ago where the amount of smoke was just crazy for this type of deal. I believe we're still there. I believe the cause and effect is, I don't think this was a just, okay, well, we've talked to teams and like looked through deals here and there, okay, and like we're just going to turn the first into 3 firsts instead. Like that's what we feel is like best for us. I feel like this is something that is now required for the Beal trade. There's a reason we're hearing about 5-team trades so much all of a sudden, because you need even more machinations and all that kind of stuff. Like the Matt Tellem Google Doc that has like 4,700 trade permutations that he was brought in here to do, like part of that stuff to do. My uneducated opinion, again, no sources, not reporting anything, is that this is what is happening. I believe here's what the Suns want to do.
Yeah.
They want to include 2 of those first-round picks in the Jimmy Butler deal, with Bradley Beal in it, of course. Then they want to use one of those picks in a Yusuf Nurkic deal to upgrade another spot there. And then they want to keep Ryan Dunn. That's not going to happen if you get Jimmy Butler. You're going to lose Ryan Dunn. You're going to lose maybe only 2 of the picks, but probably all 3, I would guess, just by how many teams are in this. And just again, like I don't believe that Miami is just going to get 1 first-round pick for Jimmy, essentially, and then like whatever other salary they take on, whether that's Chris Middleton or whoever else it isn't Bradley Beal exactly. And they're going to feel like that is enough. That is good enough for them. I believe they're going to need a little bit more, which is where they get a player like Dunn, for example, which is where I believe, again, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's where we're at right now, and I think that I'm not even deja vu, but it's just like I got back in line for the ride at the amusement park, because didn't we just do Mark Bartelstein talking about no trade clause things like 3 weeks ago to ESPN, and now he's talking to Dwayne about it last week? Didn't we just do like other possibilities for Jimmy besides the Suns, where like the Memphis and Milwaukee stuff came out? Now we're talking about Memphis again, or we're talking about every other team
like
but
once
Memphis
a week
now.
We have to redo. Hey, just double checking on that. Yeah, the
Zach LaVine today. It's like we just keep.
I'll say that I actually don't think so. Like if Ryan Dunn's in a trade, like obviously he has to be in a separate trade than. Like this could be wacky where the Suns have 2 trades with the same team or something.
It's
there are loopholes.
Aggregating salaries is 2 players together. So multi-team trade, you can send Bradley Beal to one team, you can send Ryan Dunn to another team, and that is fulfilled because if you send Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro to Miami, you cannot do that. You have now aggregated salaries.
Yeah, so it could be that. It could be separate trades. I think they will find loopholes. They've clearly figured out loopholes with all the pick swaps and avoiding that stuff. But I actually don't think it might cost that much from a purely getting it done perspective, because I think like Miami is going to play hardball.
Do you think it's more expensive to cover the Butler side or the Beal side? Getting off Beal or getting Butler? Which part's more expensive?
Getting off Beal.
I agree.
Yeah, because like Miami, okay, if you don't include Ryan Dunn, I think Miami would be actually happy if they had, I keep looking at like Bucks, we could include the LaVine stuff.
That just sort of makes sense because it's another big contract, and Milwaukee would actually
with Middleton
would want it, and then Middleton would get to Miami, and then of course that would leave Chicago as the spot for Beal. big market city. He's playing for his former college coach. I don't know if him and Donovan I don't know of their relationship, but there's like some links there.
So like I could see if Miami is like, if we got like Pat, I don't know, I don't want to do the math in my head, Pat Connaughton and Chris Middleton, or Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton in this deal, got a Suns, one of those later pick swapped first rounders, maybe a second rounder, I don't know. Like, that's not a terrible deal for them, because how they operate, like, they think they can win without the biggest of talents. You replace what Jimmy's doing on the court production wise for a year, you get future picks. Like, that's all good and dandy. I think you could satisfy Miami pretty easily with a multi-team trade or 3-4 team trade. I just don't. Yeah, it's the deal before we even get to the no trade clause. I just don't know why the Bulls would want him over Levine, who's playing pretty well by all accounts and playing better than Bradley Beal. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, so if you sweeten that pot by one draft pick, maybe there's Miami sends something to them that also, but like, that's the thing. Like, I never know what Chicago's doing. Yeah, I don't know.
Would you rather trade Grayson for a first or give up Dunn?
Grayson for a first or give up Dunn? Grayson for a first, probably.
I think so too. I'm still keeping my eye on that, which...
Yeah, he's one that no one's talking about anything about him, but he still has value.
Would start on a handful of teams in the league.
Yeah.
Would play rotation minutes on just about every contender. There's some like Cleveland and like OKC that have like 10, 11, 12 guys or whatever. Memphis, same kind of way. Houston,
and I guess since we're here, like Royce O'Neal kind of gets covered up if you got a Jimmy Butler. So it's like, is he expendable just because that's kind of the same minutes and positions and stuff? So... like they're more tradable is what I'm trying to say than the people we keep talking about, right? So,
shouts out KD, 15-time All-Star, only 7th time in history.
Yeah.
Moments like that, or moments just walking in and seeing him warm up or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, Kevin Durant's here. Like, this season has failed to meet expectations, sure, but that's Kevin Durant in a Phoenix Suns uniform. That's kind of crazy. I have those moments still. I don't know if Suns fans are there anymore. I know there are a lot of Suns fans that are out on him, but it's pretty cool. He's going to be starting in the All-Star game.
Also, February 18th, the Netflix doc on Team USA and other teams come out, which will be cool, because if you go watch the teaser, if you haven't, there's some good KD stuff, like really inside the locker room access from Netflix. Thanks, Netflix, our overlords who own everything.
We love our overlords.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
Sun's schedule gets really hard. It's like in 2 weeks, though, so we'll get to it next week.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the basketball on the court when it kind of gets there,
Yeah. Anything else?
Probably just keep winning. That's probably a good idea.
Stay relevant. Stay afloat. I think
our next pod is Jimmy trade, to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked Wednesday by the latest on the pod, on the radio show.
I woke up 2 nights ago.
Odds. I think the odds I keep increasing myself getting aggregated by the second with all these predictions that I'm making.
I kept waking up because of my dog, because of my child, different reasons the other night, and I am having like the Matt Ishbia does stuff late at night panic attacks. I'm like, I better check my phone.
There are 3 days, including today, where we don't have a night show lined up, but if the trade happens, we will then have a night show. Cool. So it's like, if he could just get traded at like 7:30 today, if he's going to get traded today, that'd be awesome. As much as I would love to do more radio, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities we get, I tired.
Yeah, you're tired. That's fine. Yeah. Try a day trade. They're fun. We all enjoy them. More people will enjoy them during day trades.
What do you need with the kid? Are you talking like Tuesday?
What? Like, I don't know.
You were saying like paternity leave.
Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna. I don't know how babies decide to pop out.
No, I'm saying like Jimmy. Sooner the better for Jimmy, then I imagine.
Yeah, if he just got over it, because if it happens like at the deadline, that's due date's like the 11th. That's the 6th. That's questionable.
No, let's not do that.
Okay. Yeah, sooner is good. Yeah, please work around my life and me being awake and me being not on leave.
It's all about us as always, brother. You know the vibes.
It's true.
It entertains me greatly that there's like 30% of our listenership right now who heard that. It's like, God, this guy is such... he's the worst. Just not knowing my sense of humor at all. It's great. Being a troll isn't so bad sometimes,
You're enjoying it. You should own it more. And
I'm trying to.
You're thriving in it. That's how you get energy.
What other choice do I have to do? Get sad about what people say about me online, or just,
You can't do that in this world. No, you can't.
It's not a way to exist, that's for sure. I would love to not exist on the internet pretty soon, to be honest. Not even entirely related to the last week, but it's just like, I don't like how much my voice is on the internet. I don't like the fact that I could find an AI saying God knows what, because there's hundreds of hours of our voices out there. I don't like that.
I'm going to make you say a bunch of not important gibberish now that you said that.
Love the Cortezes book. My dad has been wearing Cortezes for like 30 years, by the way. So like that's great. Those have been prominent in my life forever. But like the AI stuff freaks me out.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing let Hanks cook. What's going on? It was a great ad though.
It was.
They've been killing it, man. Their promotional stuff's been great.
Yeah, very scruffy.
I hope the shoes are doing well, because the creative behind it and the shoe itself is good.
The Flagstaff, I got lots of friend reaction on the Flagstaff and Sedona ones. More of the Flagstaff ones. The little tongue thing. Those Flagstaffs.
Sure.
With the Humphreys Peak, is that the correct?
I would love to get those for my dad and see if he actually is able to notice that they're not like actual Cortezes. You know what I mean? Because it's like the book one still, so it's not the exact shoe. I would love to see if I could just get him in book one without even realizing it.
I don't think so. Try it.
It would help his jumper, that's for sure. All right, everyone. We will be back next week, and, if there's a trade in the next 4 hours, we'll be here shortly after that. But until then, goodbye.